So let's open Wireshark and let's discuss about how to use Wireshark. This is the user interface. Let's have a look, guys. Here is some options like local area connection 12, 13, 11, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi 2, Wi-Fi 1, local area connection 3. In Wi-Fi section, here a heartbeat is creating. So this is all the option for Ethernet adapter. All the option is null because I use Wi-Fi, and here you guys can search a file, and if you give any wrong keyword, it red marks shown in display. So I can do with my Wi-Fi options, VirtualBox host and adapter for loopback traffic capture. These three things. Why it's red marks now? Because I did wrong. T is capital, so it's not happening. Look all the options for TCP. This is valid. And one more thing, before following a Wireshark tutorial, it's important to understand how networking systems work. The OSI model, Open Systems in Interconnection Model, is a framework that represents how network traffic is transferred and displayed to an end user. It's comprised of 7 layers, like application layer 7 display the graphical user interface UI, what the end user sees. Presentation layer 6 forms data to achieve effective communication between networked applications. Session layer 5 ensures connections between endpoints are continuous and uninterrupted. Transports layer 4 proxy servers and firewalls reside on this layer, ensures error free data and transfer between each endpoint by processing TCP and UTP protocols. At this layer, Wireshark can be used to analyze TCP traffic between two IP addresses. And network layer is layer 3, and data link layer 2, and physical layer is layer 1. Compromised of all the physical hardware that processes network activity is physical layer, and data link layer identifies physical servers through two sub-layers: media access control (MAC) and logical link control (LLC). And network layer ensures routing data for routers residing on the network are error-free. So now I do a research for Wi-Fi, just double click it and start the capturing. Have a look guys how the tool start working. Here is protocol UDP, ARP, and search, time, length, information, all the information gathering here. To use correctly use Wireshark, you must be aware of different protocols being processed at each OSI layer. This will help you decide which layer should be analyzed for each specific diagnostic requirement. As a run through of the protocols being processed at each OSI layer. Application 7, layer 7 is for SMTP, HTTP, FTP, POP3, SNMP, and presentation layer 6 is for MPG, SCH, SSL, TLS. Session layer 5 is for NetBIOS and SAP. Transports layer 4 is for TCP, UDP. Network layer 3 for IP version 5, 6, ICMP, IPsec, ARP, MPLS. And layer 2 for data link layer is for RAPA, PPP, frame relay, ATM, fiber cable, etc. And physical layer 1 is for RS232, 100 base TX, ISDN 11. Each layer is stacked on top of the other and information flows between each layer during network activity. Even with just a surface level understanding of the different functions of each layer, you can perform a high level assessment of networking issues. For example, if you are having issues browsing the internet, you can assume that there's likely an error on the network layer since it processes router data. Wireshark can then be used to further investigate such as assumption. It can confirm which layer is failing and the specific protocols that contain errors. If you are struggling to understand any of the above concepts, you will need to develop some essential skills before using Wireshark. A thorough understanding of each of the following concepts is a prerequisite to using Wireshark. Each them on the list links out like networking basics, mechanics of network packets. This is the basic needs for using Wireshark. Three-way TCP handshakes, TCP IP stack, TCP protocols, UDP protocols, DHCP protocols, ICMP protocols, how to read and intercept captured packet headers, how routing works, how port forwarding works. All the thing is needed for Wireshark. Let's discuss about Wireshark data packet. In order to transport data within a network, it gets grouped into units known as data packets. How individuals data packets are handled depends on the transmission protocol in use. So if I save a capturing packets and just double click the file and the captured is saved and you guys can use it anytime. Packet sniping is the practice of observing, collecting, and logging data packets following through a network. The goal of sniping is to monitor and scan data entering and leaving the network to snipe out malicious or problematic data flow. Sniping isn't a privacy friendly practice. If the network you are sniping is anything but your own private network, a public Wi-Fi connection, for instance, sniping could be unethical or illegal depending on the data you are observing, collecting. And compared to other packet snipers, Wireshark has one of the most user and beginner friendly interfaces. Not to mention, it still has a largely active online community and countless tutorials and official documentation available for when you run into any walls. Wireshark is also compatible with a wide range of devices. You can use it access your network regardless of the type device you mainly use, whether it's Linux, Windows, or Mac operating system. And capturing a portion of data packets going through the network connection is the first step towards error diagnosis. By the using Wireshark's filtering and analysis tools, you will be able to narrow down the scale of the packages that could be responsible for the network error, since the source, destination, and overall journey of each data packet is captured and analyzed. You would be able to detect issues such as slow or underperforming web servers. Too many errors in data transfer could slow down your connection as the server attempts to resend the same data over and over. And you will also get access to HTTP traffic and be able to analyze included server and client responses and requests. Just because you are using Wi-Fi connection doesn't mean your connection is fully secure. There are numerous network attacks that you could detect by monitoring and analyzing your network's packets flow. Anything from address resolution protocol ARP poisoning to internet control message protocol ICMP flooding and virtual LAN VLAN hopping attacks leave obvious traces even if unsuccessful. So what is Wireshark? Wireshark is a network protocol analyzer or an application that captures packets from a network connection, such as from your computer to your home, office, or the internet. Packet is the name given to a discrete unit of data in typical Ethernet network. Wireshark is the most often used packet sniffer. What is Wireshark used for? Wireshark has many uses, including rule busting networks that have performance issues. When should Wireshark be used? Wireshark is a safe tool is used by government agencies, educational institutions, corporations, small business, and non-profits. Those new to the information security can use Wireshark as a tool to understand network traffic analysis. And of course, Wireshark can't do everything. First of all, it can't help a user who has little understanding of network protocols. No tool, no matter how cool, replaces knowledge very well. In other words, to properly use Wireshark, you need to learn exactly how a network operates. That means you need to understand things such as the three-way TCP handshake and various protocols, including TCP, UDP, DHCP, and ICMP. Second, Wireshark can't grab traffic from all of the other systems on the network under normal circumstances. On modern networks that use devices called switches, Wireshark can only snap traffic between your local computer and remote system it is talking to. It's a major part of any IT pro's toolkit, and hopefully the IT pro has the knowledge to use it. Let's download Wireshark in their official website wireshark.org. Download your desired version 32 to 32-bit or 64-bit. For a complete list of system requirements and supported platforms, please read these user guides, or you guys can read documentation in Wireshark. So I already download it. Now experimental. Just click next. Now start installing Wireshark 3.4.3 64-bit in my Windows operating system. Search Wireshark, opening the tool Wireshark. This is the dashboard. Wireshark, a network analysis tool formerly known as Eternal, captures packets in real time and display them in human readable. Always stay it enable. After downloading and installing Wireshark, you can launch it and double click the name of network interface under capture to start capturing packets on that interface. And if you have promiscuous mode enabled, it's enabled by default. You will also see all the other packets on the network instead of only packets addressed to your network adapter. To check if promiscuous mode is enabled, click capture, then options, and verify the enable promiscuous mode on all interfaces. Checkbox is activated and the bottom of this window. Is Firewall, Gradient Tools, Lua. Actually, Lua is the operating programming language. Lua. There is website, sample captures. You guys can do color coding. Like you will probably see packets highlighted in variety of different colors. Wireshark uses colors to help you identify the types of traffic at a glance. By default, light purple is TCP traffic, light blue is UDP traffic, and black identifies packets with errors. For example, they could have been delivered out of order. To give exactly what the color codes mean, click view, then coloring rules. You can also customize and modify the coloring rules from coloring rules setting. You guys also can do filtering packets if you're trying to inspect something specific, such as the traffic a program sends when phoning home. It helps to close down all other applications using the word network, so you can narrow down the traffic And the most basic way to apply a filter is by typing it into the filter box at the top of the window and clicking apply or pressing enter. Now here the option for apply a display filter, and source, time, protocol, length and information is different row. Now packet list, packet details, all the information is here. Now if you click packet list, this is packet list, and here is packet details, frame, Ethernet, internet, transmission control protocol. And click a packet to select it, and you can dig down to view in inspect packets. Wireshark is an extremely powerful tool, and this tutorial is just scratching the surface of what you can do with it. Professionals use it to debug network protocol implementations, example security problems, and expect network protocol internals. If you want, you can edit the network security. Now go to website hackersfactory.com. Now save the packets. I create. If you want, you can continue without saving, or cancel this. Now starting Wireshark for hackersfactory.com. Here is many options: display filter, hex value string. Just quick warning, many organizations don't allow Wireshark and similar tools on their network. Don't use this tool at work unless you have permission. And If you want to capture traffic on your wireless network, click your wireless interface first, and you find it in options, but this isn't necessary for now. Now I go to my Linux terminal and give command Wireshark.
So hello, and today I'll be talking about another set of filters that we're going to need in order to able to analyze the packet in depth. So, and in order to minimize the amount of packets that we will capture, so that we have a smaller capture files and that we have a great precision, and that will provide us what we need. So not a lot of redundant information that we don't really want. In any case, I'm just going to go ahead and select my filters here, and the first thing I want to explain is SRC DST. It means source destination. So usually when I see these two keywords being used in all sorts of filters, SRC simply stands for source and DST stands for destination. So it can refer to an IP to a protocol, and in general in a living sort of environment, SRC, DST, those are the medication for source and destination, that they can be used as such. So anyway, the first letter to have that we wanted to show you is IP dot source equal. So in this manner you can filter all the traffic coming, so that has the contain in a certain IP address. So all packets that contains a source IP address that user specific will be displayed, and aside from that you can also type in, like, let me do this, IP dot destination. So there you go. That's gonna do exactly the opposite thing. That's kind of the display all the packets with a specific destination IP address. So if you want to like for example, so you want to see who is transmitting what or something like that, or who is receiving what on the network, you can use this sort of filters. So aside from that, you have a general IP filter. So you can see it's the first one, and that the Wireshark offers is IP dot address a DDR. So this will sort the filter in a general that all packets containing a certain IP address will be displayed regardless whether it's a source or a destination IP address, and they will be displayed no matter what, and they will be displayed with a sign from the IP filters. So you have a port filter which are usually used to combination with them. So ideally you want to comply to 2, 3 or 4 filters that get very specific information that you want without any redundancy or whatsoever. So it can go at, like, let me show you, like TCP dot source port SRC, as you can see this one source port, and also you can as you can see, you can put any port like 80 or 53, you can type whatever you want. So you can, as I shown an example in here, you can type any port like 53 or 80, basically any number that you want aside from this. So aside from this, you can also do what we did with the IP addresses. So you can type in like DST or so the destination port if you want to move in a general filter, or you can just type in TCP dot, simple way, TCP dot port. So that wasn't so difficult. So just a TCP dot port equals, it's a specify a port, and aside from that you can also type like UDP on UDP dot port. So more often than not you will be certain where there is something is using a TCP or UDP protocol. So you see how we are combining three different types of filter here, and we have IP address. So we have combining them, you can see whether they can come and work together. So we have, I said, a IP address filter. So now we have a filter that we can protocol, the protocol filter. So let's say one of the port that you want to make a statement, and in order to be very precise you want to certain things like whether it's UDP or TCP, you can following things like IP address, and as I already typed it, so if you search this, as you can see it already showing my results of this. So the sets of rules when applied is certainly going to display all the DNS server, as you can see DNS protocol, so that my machine has generated as long I was capturing the traffic. So as I said, my IP address is 192.168.1.1 and my router IP address is this 192.168.1.103, because I am using a wireless network. So this is basically my router, and there is no DNS records here. It just shows now that there is a caching process of some sort of going on. So I do not know that that's the router specification, but that's not, rather than this is us what is relevant. However, in this all of the DNS traffic is more or less being forwarded from my router to my ISP provider, and they are responding again to my router, and my router is telling my machine is that they are giving the machine the necessary information to filter itself. So it goes like this. So the first segment here where it says the IP address, and that's all packets containing this IP address shall be displayed double at %sign. So if either of those two conditions are met along with the IP address, you will be displayed these results of the specific way that you want or typed in the filter. So you can do stuff with it. So all the information down below is displayed in a ASCII formation. So do not get worry about it, it is very easy to understand. So I will show you what this means in the future lectures, and on for you don't need to worry about the hexadecimal numbers, they are pretty quite to understand and figure it out what they represent in general. So you don't need to read them all, you just need to read like a first set of something that you can figure when you refer to it. So what it might be in my case, I could do in these ways to capture and differentiate the IP protocols in different way that I shown in this video. So that's all. I'll be talking about this more in the future lectures. So hello, so now I'll be talking about the HTTP packet analysis. So before I actually begin, I made a live capturing session running for a couple of minutes to capture the all traffic towards a website that has a HTTP request. So as you can see, I filtered my protocol to HTTP, as you can see again. So as you can see, these are all the HTTP protocols that I captured in a couple of minutes session that I saved. So there are a lot of HTTP requests, as you can see. I have specified my filter to be HTTP, as that is one of those that are the sort of package that I would like to analyze today. So after showing you sort of useful information, you can extract from them. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the first one to get the this one, http/1.1, and we are no longer going to need to the upper window. So let me brought this. Okay, and you have a better view. So I'm going to maximize this and trying to, because I will go to talk about all of this. So let me go and first talk about the frame, which I captured is like 10,465. So we are not going to be dealing with this, as the network admin generally won't be extracting information from this layer. So in any case, this is the physical layer. Remember when we talked about the model, this is the physical layer. It says just as the title, frame 10,465 and 493 bytes on wire, which is 3,944 bits that 493 byte captured on interface. So that's not really that interesting to us. So let me hide this and open up Ethernet 2. So Ethernet 2 is a standard. So that's the name for a general standard used worldwide. So right after the comma, as you can see, it says SRC and some sort of name in written, and it says Hi Pierre Airline, and this portion of MAC address, as you can see here. The beside the point next to it is, it showed the name of my router that using. So the destination, as you can see, the router destination it is showing, and the MAC address, and also shows the address of this destination, and also it shows the bits. So that's the MAC address of my network card, of my wireless network, and right next to it you have a DST, as you can see here, DST. So as I am going to go ahead and show you this. So it goes something like colon dot 0 dots is equal to LG bit of globally unique address, which is a factory default. So this is the MAC address of my router. So my router is a point that I use to access the internet. So all my traffic that goes outside my network has to go through my router, and this is how a very useful way of pretty much figuring out which devices are communicating on the network without knowing their IPs, so that you can have just a look at the MAC address and you can know who is communicating with who. aside from the first three set of hexadecimal number with MAC addresses. So with the sort of information you can just browse in the end, and it's fairly easy to find, so you won't have a difficulty in there. As you can see, it is also the type that shows is IPv4 because I am using the IPv4 network. So let me hide this, and now let's talk about the internet protocol version, IP. So IP protocol version 4, there is also version 6, so you know. So once again we have a source into SRC, as you can see here, SRC, and have a destination of my network that go ahead, and as you can see it marked in here at the bottom, as you can see in the hexadecimal number how this is works. As you can see, is pretty easy to understand. So there you have it. So as you can see, I have a source of 192.168.1.1 and destination is designed the destination IP, which is not my router. So this time the HTTP requires the destination IP address, which is my 192.168.1.103, and that's the IP address of the website called the website, which is the website called. So it already has been resolved, so we are not analyzing DNS packets here rather than instead of HTTP request. So as you can see, it has a differential service field also, and that was the length of the field and also flags. If you want to know, as you can see, it also protocol like TCP/6 protocol. So it has all the source of information that you need, and as I previously told about, this is the source address and this is the destination address. So we have a one more in a field like source. Where is so this is a flag that you have information about the API and which window you are using, and also timestamp. So now we'll talk about this transmission control protocol or TCP. So lots of information here once again. So I just look at it so I can define all of those. So there have a, as you see, SRC port once again with the DHT port. So right here I have marked the HTTP request, and there right here, which is source port like 62830, as you can see in the down here it also marked, and the destination port is 80. So thus as the source port I have many thousands, 62,830. So what is that? So that is not the port on which we are listening. So this is the port on which we are transmitting, and we are transmitting our information toward the destination port. So these are the source port are randomly generated by your machine, and they can pretty much any number within a given range, any number, like I have 62,000 something. So there we go. Let me minimize this, and okay, did I talk all of this? Okay, yeah. So at the end, let's talk about the hypertext transfer protocol. So or HTTP, as you can see in the method given below, as you can see, it's all under the hypertext. So there you go, request method. So get to the UI. As you can see in Windows, you will see the black slash in a host or connection, but in other or virtual machine like Linux says, it will be just like just black slash with a single word in all virtual machines except for Windows, which is Unix based, so they use it like that. So in Windows you will see it has like a slash or slash n this way. So every other system out there except Windows is basically a marketing for a root folder, and that is the folder that requested the web server, and in Windows it's a black slash. So this is just a bit of information related to Wireshark. So if you are curious, on the down below, as you can see, it has a user agent like Mozilla /5.0. It says that I am running on a Windows machine 64-bit and x64 machine, and also using Chrome. So the web server which I made request knows that what I am running, which is a Mozilla, and what my browser is, that also knows what my version of the browser is. So it knows my operating system, also it knows my processor architecture. So if we go down further below, we see that the languages that is being passed is like this under here, as you can see, hexadecimal. So all of this related to that. So the default language browser is also set here, as you can see here, English language, English US, and the full request URL is this, and the response in frame is 10,523. So as far as I know, they generally tend to use the IP addresses. So if you have an IP address that is coming from a certain country, it is it is going to layout of the page itself, which will display the language of the country, which can be annoying. So it can be annoying from a time to time if you are using that, but there are workarounds around some, so you can go around like things out there. So it's not that complicated to bypass such mechanism, and plus on top all the information and the add-ons are pretty much from all popular browsers out there, and which enable you to actually modify this information. So instead of this being user of a Mozilla, it can be Chrome or something like Safari. So in fact, if you are using and don't know the internet, so there are lots of add-ons that can use a fake information here and transmit all of that. So no harm there, you can try and use it and test it out if you want to. It's just something that you can play around with. So in any case, it would be as far as this particular package is concerned. So we'll analyze a great deal of on the later about this, but just I want to give you an idea of what sorts of information that you can gain from this frame, Ethernet and ICP and transmit TCP, and also from hypertext and the individuals packets. So later on, as we progress, I will create a real scenario and we'll do some exercise, and also I will create problems for us to solve, and that how we can use to Wireshark to track down a particular problem on the network. So that's all for the HTTP packet analysis. Hello. So now I will demonstrate how dangerous it is to use HTTP protocol to log into your email account and your PayPal account or pretty much anywhere, as all the information, as I mentioned before, is sent to a clear text under the hypertext transfer protocol. So before I begin to capture, and therefore I will show you how it is done, keeping to note that all I am doing here is within my own network, because I am connecting to my own wire network. So this is my home network setup, all the router in mine and computer is mine, so all the other devices that are in my position, so I could do with them as I please. So however, you cannot do this on a public network, that you don't have a permission to access or sniff the traffic or anything of a kind. So let's get out of the way. So let us begin with the demonstration, and let's see how we can use Wireshark to actually extract credential from an encrypted web traffic. So first thing first, we capture some of the information like I captured a couple of minutes, and we have to change my interface to wired connection, as I am on a wired connection. So before the capture goes ahead and start displaying information, let me talk about the preemptive measure here. So I am going to type a HTTP address, not HTTPS. So I am going to type this, and I am going to, this is the default, this is the correct username and password, but I will type like a random username and password and try to sign in, and because it's false, so I cancelled. So as you can see, it gives a error. So let me go to Wireshark and search the HTTP request and go to this one. So I stop the traffic capturing. So now I will talk about how this works. So now I am not doing anything, the network is inactive, and those 332 packets that displayed are all in this traffic, and the HTTP requests that I got are total 8. So let's look into this. So let's look at the IP address. So it says http:// then the IP address to this, and what I have highlighted is so this part of the address is these HTTP protocols that we have mentioned before, that which are all an encrypted track, and it transmits and everything in clear text. As you can see, everything transmitted in clear text. So nothing is encrypted or anything of a kind. So as I use the wrong username and password, it will save all of this in here, and it captured all of the username and password and all the credential that I used to log in the page, but failed to do so because I used the wrong password. So as I use the password, so it's pretty simple. As you can see in the Wireshark itself, the authorization field, that I typed the username, that is a credential that I used as a user, and as you see, a random, and the password all shown in here, because it captured the traffic that I used from a HTTP website, not HTTPS. So any line network for anything of a kind that you can monitor for all the traffic that goes back and forth on it. So this is just what I've done. Now I have monitored traffic locally, so from my computer to the internet, and that's very easy to do, and I can get all the valuable information from here using the Wireshark from a HTTP request. But there are setups for you that you can actually monitor other computer, so not on computer directly, but you can just monitor what is in the wires and what moves through it and all the packets that are coming to you, and but not meant to you that are coming, so you can save it or look at it as you want. That's what I talked about in the previously, that when I mentioned the monitor modes and network cards, that any case we shall deal with it in the future lectures. We'll talk about the details or get importance to us to able to monitor this information. So that's all about the safety or all monitoring all sorts of credential and passwords and how we can utilize this.
Hello everyone, let's talk about SSH tunneling. So, what is SSH tunneling? SSH tunneling is a method to transport additional data streams within an existing SSH session. SSH tunneling helps achieve security use cases such as remote web service access without exposing port on the internet, accessing server behind NAT, exposing local port to the internet. How does SSH channel work? When you connect to a server using SSH, you get a server's shell. This is the default behavior of an SSH connection under the hood. Your SSH client creates an encrypted session between your SSH client and the SSH server, but the data transported within the SSH session can be of any type. For example, during shell access, the data transmitted are binary streams detailing dimensions of CD terminal and ASCII characters to run commands on the remote shell. However, during SSH port forwarding, the data transmitted can be a binary stream of protocol. So look at this picture: client encrypted session, how data encrypted session, and server. So SSH channeling is just a way to transport arbitrary data with a dedicated data stream tunnel inside an existing SSH session. This can be achieved with either local port forwarding, remote port forwarding, dynamic port forwarding, or by creating a turn tap tunnel. Let's take a look at how port forwarding works and their use cases below. So local port forwarding. When local port forwarding is used, OpenSSH creates a separate tunnel inside the SSH connection that forwards network traffic from the local port to the remote server's port. In OpenSSH, this tunneling feature can be used by supplying "-l flag. Internally, SSH allocates a socket listener on the client on the given port when a connection is made to this port. So, a question is, who uses SSH tunneling? So, I gather here some information about IP addresses, port addresses. So, who uses SSH tunneling? The downside is that any user who is able to log into a server can enable port forwarding. This is widely exploited by internal IT people to log into their home machines or servers in a cloud, forwarding a port from the server back into the enterprise internet to their work machine or suitable server. Localhost. Whenever you give a command clear, all the session you make is cleared. Hackers and malware can similarly use it to leave a backdoor into the internal network. It can also be used to hiding attackers' tracks by bouncing an attack through multiple devices that permit uncontrolled tunneling. To see how the configure an SSH tunneling, SSH tunnels are widely used in many corporate environments that employ mainframe systems as their applications backends. In these environments, the applications themselves may vary limited native support for security by utilizing tunneling. Compliance with SOX, HIPAA, PCI, DSS, and other standards can be achieved without having to modify applications. In many cases, these applications and application servers are such that making code changes to them may be impractical or prohibitively expensive. Source code may not be available. The vendor may not longer exist. SSH tunneling attacks can also be used for hiding the source of the attack. It is common for hackers to bounce attacks of systems and devices that allow SSH port forwarding to hide their attacks. This allows them to probe for vulnerabilities, try various login credentials, or run attack tools against email, web, telephony, and any other protocols. Bouncing an attack through a dozen random devices via encrypted channels also carrying other traffic makes it virtually untraceable. Countering these risks requires the capability to monitor, control, and audit encrypted SSH connections. For preventing bouncing, it requires proper configuration and hardening of IoT operating system. It should also be noted that tunneling attacks are not specific to SSH. A component programmer can write a tool to tunnel ports in a few hours and can run it any machine on the internal network, any laptop or other device on the internal network can do it. It just needs to be able to communicate with some service on the internet. Such a tool could be made to work over SSL. TLS could emulate HTTP or cloud operate over UDP and use packets that look like DNS requests and response. SSH just makes it easier for non-programs. You can only protect from tunneling attacks against people who are able to run software on the inside or connect any device to the internal network by only allowing protocols you can inspect through the firewall. You guys can use configuration file, copy files over SSH with SCP, proxy traffic over SSH using SOCKS, enable SOCKS proxy on any browser. Use case for the SSH SOCKS proxy SSH tunnel port forward, SSH tunnel port forward secondary remote host, SSH reverse tunnel. In this scenario, SSH reverse tunnel, we want to set up a listening port on the remote server that will connect back to a local port on our local host. And SSH reverse proxy, in this case establishing a SOCKS proxy with SSH connection. However, the proxy is listening at the remote server end with connections to the remote SOCKS proxy. Now imagine from the tunnel as traffic originating from localhost. And SSH tunnel port forward, in its simplest form, an SSH tunnel opens a port on your local system that connects through to another port at the other end of the tunnel. And its breakdown procedure is -L parameter. Think of L as a local listening site. So in our example, 9999 is listening on local port and port forwards towards to port 80 on remote server. So this is it, guys. Hope you guys liked it and thanks for watching. Hello everyone, let's talk about Wireshark and T-Shark. T-Shark is a terminal-oriented version of Wireshark designed for capturing and displaying packets when an interactive user interface isn't necessary or unavailable. It supports the same options as Wireshark. Uses of T-Shark, many command is there, like capture interface I -I interface -f capture filter packet filter in libcap filter syntax -s snap lane snapshot -p no promiscuous mode -I monitor mode -b buffer size -y link type -d list interfaces -l list data link types. Capture stop conditions is -c packet count stop after n packets -a auto stop count. And capture output -b ring buffer dot opt ring buffer, this is for capture output and the sign is -b. And input file -r in file read file in file, set the file name to read from your stdin. And processing -2 perform a 2 pass analysis -m packet count perform session auto reset -r read filter -y display filter -n name resolve, like this. And some output for -y -w out file minus C config profile minus F output file type minus V, and some diagnostic output like log label, log fatal, log domains, log debug, log noisy. You guys can change color or export color. Export TLS session keys to a file named key file color output text similarly to the Wireshark GUI. Requires a terminal with 24-bit color support. Also supplies color attributes to PDML and PSML. So welcome to Wireshark. Most of the time when we connect to the internet, we don't think about the network protocols at work underneath that make it possible. Right now while you were watching this, numerous packets are being exchanged by your computer and traveling access to the internet. To understand those protocols, you need a tool that can capture and help you analyze these packets, and it is Wireshark. Is a popular open source graphical user interface GUI tool for analyzing packets, and another one is T-Shark, terminal based Wireshark. However, it also provides a powerful command line utility called T-Shark for people who prefer to work on the Linux command line. To try the Wireshark and T-Shark, first check your installation. First ensure the record packages are installed. If the Wireshark package is installed, check whether the T-Shark utility is installed, and if so, who is version. If you are logged in as a regular non-root user, you need sudo rights to use the T-Shark utility. Root users can skip sudo and directly run the T-Shark command. Before T-Shark can analyze packets, it needs to capture those packets. Network packets are processed via network interface card NIC on servers, workstations or desktops, or a Wi-Fi card or laptops. Begin by identifying the NIC or Wi-Fi card used to connect to the internet. To identify what network devices are available to T-Shark, run command if you can use the ifconfig -a command to view all the network interfaces on a system. If the ifconfig command is not installed, you can use the newer IP addr show command instead. One of the interfaces should have an IP address assigned to it. For a specific interface, you can use ifconfig interface name, for example ifconfig WLP61S0. And how you guys can capture some packets now that you know which interface is being used to connect to the internet, you can start capturing some packets using it. The I option can be used to capture packets on this specific interface. You will see a bunch of output that shows the network packets being transmitted via the interface, but you can stop it with the ctrl+c command. You can limit the number of packets captured and displayed on the screen using the -c count option. The following options shows 10 packets being captured, like the protocols you saw DNS above and other protocols like NTP and TCP. The DNS protocol converts the hostname to an IP address and the IP address to a hostname. There are dedicated DNS servers which can query with either a hostname or an IP address. The example is nslookup command to query the name servers to resolve a hostname to an IP address. Before you proceed, ensure the blind unit utils package is installed. In order to query your name server, you need to find out which one your machine is talking to. You can find that information in the file. Hostname easy for humans to understand, but machines use IP address to connect to other machines over a network or the internet. So far so good, but what is happening at the packet level? Move to the terminal where you enter the tshirt command. It captured a few packets. The packet below originated from the IP address and it is headed for destination. So that's it guys. Hope you guys liked it and thanks for watching.
So in this lecture we're going to be talking about SOX5 proxy tunneling with dynamic ports. There are times when you want to browse the internet privately, access geo-restricted content or bypass any intermediate firewall your network might be enforcing. One option is to use a VPN, but that requires installing a client software on your machine and setting up your own VPN server or subscribing to a VPN service, which might cost you some money. The simpler alternative is to route your local network traffic with an encrypted SOX proxy. This way, all your application using the proxy will connect to the SSH server and the server will forward all the traffic to its actual destination. Your internet service provider and other third parties will not be able to inspect your traffic and block your access to the websites. So in this lecture, we'll walk through the process of creating an encrypted SSH tunnel and configure Firefox and Google Chrome web browser to use the SOX proxy. So there are some prerequisites to this, like you need to have a server running any flavor of Linux with a SSH access to your router, and you route through your traffic through it, and you have to have a web browser and you have to have a SSH client. So in first, what you have to do is you have to set up a SSH tunnel. So we'll create an SSH tunnel that will securely forward traffic from your local machine on port 9090 to the SSH server on port 22. You can use any port number greater than 1024. Only root can open port on privileged ports. So if you run Linux, Mac OS or any other Unix-based operating system on your local machine, you can easily start an SSH tunnel with simple this command line. So let's define what this is. So SSH, as you know, this is the SSH command, and -n tells SSH not to execute a remote command. This -d 9090 opens a SOC tunnel onto the specific port number, this one, and user a server IP. So this is your remote SSH user and server IP address. To run the command in the background, just use a -f option. So if your SSH server is listening on a port other than 22, which is the default, use the -p, which is the port number option. So once you run the command, you will be prompted to enter your user password. So So after entering it, you will be logging into your server and the SSH tunnel will be established. You can set up an SSH key based authentication and connect to your server without entering a password. So in Windows user can create an SSH tunnel using the PUTTY SSH client. So you can download PUTTY in just Google. You have just search PUTTY SSH client and you get that instantly with a single search. So just download and install, pretty easy process. So then launch the putty and enter your server IP address in the host name. As you can see this in here, host name or IP address field. So under the connection menu, as you can see this sidebar, under the connection menu, expand the SSH, select the tunnels, enter the port in here in this field 9090 as previously declined in here. So select the port 9090 in the source port field and check the dynamic. Make sure this is selected and make sure this is selected the dynamic radio button. Then click the add. Just click the add button to show this, and this will be shown like this. So what you have to do now is you have to go back to the session page and to save the settings, what you have, and you have to save the settings so that you do not need to enter them each time. So make sure you save it with the name save session field in here and click the save. Then what you have to do now is you have to select the, as you can see, select the save session and log into the remote server by clicking and open this button. So make sure you open only on clean exit. This is selected and make sure your SS is selected and port on 22 and your hostname, IP address. Make sure you check all of this, and the most important part is make sure you save this my proxy, save, click save and select this save and open. Then a new window asking for your will be asking for your username and password that will show up. So once you enter your username password, you will be logged into your server and the SSH tunnel will be started. Setting up a public key authentication will allow you to connect to your server without entering a password. So configure your browser to use the proxy. So now that we have opened our SSH socks tunnel, the last step is to configure your preferred browser to use it. So we are going to use our Firefox. So this will be the step. So make just easy. Go to your Firefox menu, click on the preference link or preference option and scroll down to the network setting and scroll down to the setting button, and then a new window will open, and then this page, this panel or page will open. Then select it will basically in default it will be auto detect proxy. So in default it will be selected in here. So but what you have to do now is you have to select this manual proxy configuration. Then these all will be blank. So what you have to do is you have the SOCKS 5 host to set as this in the field and set port as 9090. Check the proxy DNS when, as you can see, SOCKS 5. Make sure you click this, not SOCKS 4, because we are working on our SOCKS 5. So make sure you select this checkbox. This is the important part, and then select no proxy for this and click after that, or you have to tick this button proxy DNS when using SOX 5 because this will be in default, this will be blank, not one will be selected. So make sure you select this one and then just click OK. So at this point, after clicking OK, your Firefox is configured and you can browse the internet through the SSH tunnel. So to verify, you can open like an easy google.com and type "what's my IP," and you should see your server IP address instead of your original IP address. So to revert back the default setting, so just easy, just go to the network setting and use the proxy setting to select the auto, and it will be all default as previously it will be selected in your default IP address. So there are also several plugins that can help you to configure Firefox proxy settings, such as like Foxy Proxy, and in Google Chrome you can use a default system proxy setting instead of changing your operating system with proxy command. You can use an additional, such as you should use a command line. You should launch a Chrome with a new profile and you use your SSH tunnel to use the command like this. This will be the command line for Linux and this will be for the Windows. So after typing this command line the profile will be created automatically. So if it doesn't exist, this way you can use multiple instances of Chrome at the same time. To configure the SSH tunnel info to which is working properly, just type google.com and check your IP address. It should be show your browser IP address instead of your original IP address. So in conclusion, we learned that how to set up an SSH SOX 5 tunnel and configure our browser to access the internet privately and anonymously. For ease of use, you can use or define the SSH tunnel in your SSH configuration file or create a bash alias that will set up the SSH tunnel and start the browser. And that's all about the SOX 5 proxy tunneling with dynamic ports. Hello everyone, so now I will be talking about the Nmap and how you can analyze its traffic with Wireshark. So Nmap is a tool for scanning the port and net. So you use it to scan. So that works basically, it can gives you a great deal of information. For example, if you are a LAN and if you are in that, it can give you the MAC addresses of the machine that are within that line, and of course you know the IP addresses. So if you don't know the IP addresses, you can just scan the entire subnet or something of a kind, and it can also determine which operating systems are running an old machine. So where they are in it and outside, it doesn't matter. It will conduct a scan, but primarily it can tell you what errors are open up, what ports are open up on the system. So if it does, what ports are open, and get deal of things from that. So for example, you can figure out which services are running and you can assume which operating system is running there. So because you have a default open port and some system, and in a such a way that you can get more information. Now you shouldn't scan a system that you do not own or have an explicit permission to scan, because this is not a permitted. However, today I will be using my lab environment, so I will be using my own virtual machine and I will show you how you can actually reduce the reduce and monitor the traffic. So more importantly, how you can monitor the size of the traffic, because the less packets you have, the lower the probability is when you scan, and that will be detected. So you have a lower chance that the firewall will actually stop your scan. So this is very important for people who are independent they can be used. So they use this method basically just to scan a virtual machine with ANCAP and then have Wireshark to monitor the scan in such a way to see which port of which parameter and which sort of scan of the map that will generate the least amount of traffic. So now I am on a virtual machine on Kali Linux. So let me just open both Wireshark and Nmap. So let me go and open Wireshark first. So let me go and analyze the traffic for a couple of minutes. And now let me go and okay, wait, let me go and open up Nmap. So in Wireshark I use a filter so that it uses this specific traffic from this IP to this IP. So as you can see, Wireshark not detected any traffic from this IP because I did not send any. So now let me just show you and send some of the IP traffic from here, and I will send port 80 traffic in here. So filter host is up. Port state service 80 TCP filter. Okay, so it didn't detect that much at all. So let me couple of traffic. Let me check. IP errors 192.168. On 92.68.1.4 minus P80. Okay, let me just fix let me just fix this one. Okay, let me just try again. So let me send couple of the traffics on port 80. So let me try type and map and port 80. As you can see, these are now traffic that are coming from port 80. As you can see, these are the similar. So it's certainly not showing a lot of port because it gives us less. So one of the best thing that you can do is primarily you are scanning a large amount of IP addresses to make a file, and in that file the list of IP addresses that you want to scan, that pass the ports. So I don't have to scan like thousands of port. I just scanned this and it showed this couple of packets. So On the board 80, I also know about that. I'm going to go ahead and scan the on port like port 48. So let me scan on port 48. As you can see, it giving me a 48 filters port. So there you go. I just wanted to capture the session that gives me on this certain port. So I want to see how many packets that will capture, and this will definitely have less traffic from the previous scans, because port of this virtual machine port 80 is closed and the firewall dropping all the connection on this port, so it doesn't even matter now. So now that it is called it's a HTTP service. So however, what is important to us here is that it has only generated couple of packets, so and this is fantastic. This is not something that's gonna be problematic and that's gonna be noticeable or something of a kind, especially as I said, if you have a range of 100 or 200 IP addresses, then you can conduct a full port scan of all those 100 IP addresses rather than instead focusing on a single like this, and in terms of services it will give you the only these ports results and show you in here on Wireshark. So let me just try another one, and map -P22 minus PN. As you can see, it giving me now that all the TCP ports from this destination and also ARP ports. So in this port you can see easily a couple of traffic that we can analyze, and it's very good if you want to analyze those certain traffic. So it is good if you type this on a nmap and get the result in here, and also it filters there. So it simply means that Wireshark cannot determine whether the port is open or closed. However, it says most likely closed because you are not going to able to do anything on it while the firewall dropping it. So for SSH, it clearly says that it is closed, and we have reduced our packet size and only generated to couple of packets. So our disconnect traffic from thousands or hundreds to only couple of packets like 10 or 15 from this specific nmap. So this is a significant improvement, and is detectable, but nobody gonna notice or care for a single scan, and that is what people invent. Testing industry are usually counting on height in the measure to get the information and then attempt to do something from there. So you can have also like, so now I will import both 22 and 80 ports. So let me just type in here -P22 comma 80 minus PN. As you can see, it's all showing from both 22 and 80. So this is very helpful primarily because you will be able to discuss pretty much as many S port as you like here, and then you can specify those ports like 22 or 80 that I did in here. So Primarily this will be helpful because you will be able to specify particular services and nothing else. So it's split in here. For what I did is reset it in, and there are couple of packages here for the port and that we passed, and we also generated couple of packets and we figured out what's going on port 22 and 80 as opposed to just generating a huge number of traffic without using nmap and getting pretty much the same amount of information as any as using just Wireshark to analyze. So this can help when you are done. So I mean 3, 4, 5 packets is nothing, so it's something that's not noticeable. As I said before, in any cases I want to conclude this how you can use both nmap and Wireshark to analyze the traffic on specific ports. So let me just go ahead and mention again what that that this is not okay. You okay to apply on your home or public. So you can use this network so that there you don't need to use this network where you don't have any permission to scan, or that you do not own people who works in this industry. So some of the people like us, they get contract and they are allowed to do a particular things that would test the security of the network. So if you wish to conduct your own, I would advise you to construct some virtual machines. It is relatively easy to use. All you need to use is just like this, any virtual machine or any virtual machine like Kali Linux. Just install it on your main computer and you're good to go, and you can do pretty much whatever you want. You can also install router operating system and also have your virtual machine act as a router as well. So there's a such a way that you will be able to conduct any sort of test that you want there, and there is no boundaries, so there is no legal limits here. You can literally destroy the machine there because they are the virtual machine, and you can do anything you want on your virtual machine, and this will not affect your main machine. So your main machine will be safe, and you can just destroy and test and do anything on your virtual machine. So mostly of all in my cases there would be all for Wireshark and nmap. So I hope you enjoyed these lessons and get to know a little bit more about this nmap, and I hope this helps. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone, and welcome to this tutorial. Today I will show you how you can conduct a remote capture on a machine that is not necessarily within the LAN or within the range of your wireless card. So in the previous tutorials I have shown you how you can actually conduct your remote capture of all the folder traffic that is up in the air around, and you provide, of course, so that it is in the range of your wireless card and provide. So of course that you do need the necessary to have a description keys. So this was done through the management mode of the network card. You will not need it in this tutorial primarily because the machine from which we will be capturing traffic can be anywhere else in the world. So we are capturing traffic over here, and that will be sent to the internet over to us, and which means that you can be in Germany, let's say in Berlin, and the other machine can be in Tokyo and Japan. So you will be able to stream the network information over the internet to your machine in Berlin and analyze traffic and Wireshark there. Now depending on the amount of traffic and depending on the amount of bandwidth, this can be either slow or fast, depends how you do it, but it is possible to do it, and that is what I want to demonstrate today. Now there are prerequisites, and there are few things that you are gonna need if you wish to be able to fully follow through the particular this tutorial. And the very first thing is we will need a protocol called SHH. Now what I say is a tunneling protocol, and it will ensure that all the traffic transmitted from the machine Tokyo to machine Berlin, which will be heavily encrypted. So even though somebody could be in the middle of your communication, between the two machines and capture a traffic table, they won't be able to do anything with it. I have shown you in the previous tutorials how encrypted traffic looks like, and as you could have seen, there isn't much that you can actually do with it. You can extract bits and pieces of information, but you cannot actually get the data itself without the description keys. Of course, the chances of somebody getting the description keys are pretty slim to none, and in order to break the encryption without the decryption keys, it takes an eternity of time to brute force it or something of a kind. It will take I would say huge amount of time. Anyway, I will show you how to install this. You will need this on both machines and not just one. So keeping to note here is that you will need it on both machines fairly, and it is fairly easy to install. I will show you in the follow tutorials, but for the time being you will also need one more. You might need additional things like TCP dump, so TCP dump, it works in a similar fashion as the Wireshark, come out as Wireshark, command line like T-Shark. So you just passed an argument to it and it can capture traffic filter, it pipe it, so etc. So this will only need to be installed on a remote machine where the capture would be performed. You will not need this on your destination machine as you will be using Wireshark there. So I will show you how to install TCP dump as well, but on Linux, as you can see on Kali Linux machine, TCP dump is already installed, and it installed like 90% of the Linux machines. So I am using TCP dump primarily because in 90% of cases it will be installed on the Linux machine in default. So this is for easy to use. You can also use T-Shark here, but most of the time for not sure, you will likely to install and it will be on remote machine. So I have shown you how to install Wireshark as well previously, so that's not a big deal. Basically just install Wireshark, pretty easy to install, and it comes back. And so we will be doing TCP dump on a remote machine, and you will need to install there, of course, and it will be installed, but I will show you the install process as well. So just in case that is not installed, you will see the command for it which is pretty simple. There won't be any complication there. So next step, I will need to able to configure the Wireshark in order to capture traffic. So not one of your interfaces, rather instead we will need to create a command line like Wireshark. It is a file from which it will extract information and display, and it will be using a graphical user interface where it will be able to analyze it and filter it and do pretty much whatever you want with it. I will show you how you can make that file pretty simple as well, so no complex stuff here. The biggest problem is establishing a SSH connection and making sure the data is encrypted and that there is a steady flow due to the bandwidth and such thing. So we'll need to pass some extra argument to TCP dump in order to ensure that our data is streamed in a proper manner. Now we'll also need to configure SSH, just a bit one. So on this source machine and Tokyo, that we will need to configure SSH to allow the root logins, because keep in mind that all those machines we need to be either root, or you need to be on a sudo, or you need to use your user need as to insert the file as a file. So you can have a root permission in any case. That would be it. This was an introductory video of what we should do here. If you don't have prerequisite, try and get them on your own. Try to do it. You should install and try the installation procedure, which are the same on any package that we have installed so far. You can try doing it yourself. I strongly advise you to do so, and then in the next tutorial I will show you how you can actually do this. So if you have any problem with it, you may refer to this tutorial and try it as I will try in the next lecture. So if you think you didn't do it, like you make mistakes, or you didn't do it the right way, or you do some couple of mistakes, you can watch my next tutorials and you will be able to try in a right way and you will be able to learn better. So now I will just continue from where I left off in the previous lecture. So first thing we need to do is actually install and configure SSH protocol on both machines. What I will do here is simply use my default backup manager and type like you can just type like OpenSSH. So it will go and install all those necessary packages that you need, and in this proper manner. So it is necessary for you to do in order to find the packages, so that you can know where it is and from where you can pull it. And also you need to keep it from the SSH version in order to open and comment, because there are some patches on SSH which are not compatible with one another, especially the really old one. Sometimes they are not compatible with the new one. So this probably you will face some sort of problem and usually encountered when you are logging into your phone router by SSH, which rarely anybody does. But if you do try it, you will see that sometimes it says it's just a mismatch. So it's just a mismatch version basically. So you cannot log in to the protocol if it doesn't match. Anyway, you just install it and it will install easily without any error. Just to skip any sort of prompting or question, this is gonna go ahead. So you're gonna install SSH in such a way so there is no need to do additional configuration on the destination computer, on the destination machine. However, when we switch over to our virtual machine, and we will just go ahead, as I am using the Kali Linux, I have several things running here. So I have beaten up my resources, but well, I do need them. But if I go ahead and run into my virtual machine. As you can see, I already have been tampering with my configuration here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do, as you can see, I'm on my root directory or root terminal, or now we're gonna go to a directory of our SSH. So we'll just type cd /etc/ssh. So this is the SSH host, that RCK, and we're going to interested all things. So let's go to this directory. As you can see, we are into this directory. Let's now list all of those SSH. As you can see, there is all of these SSH host keys and all other. So underline config, this is a great importance for us to know what we are dealing with. So now you can use any your favorite editor. I will advise you to use the terminal or text editor because they are able to run within the root permission. So if you turn anything else before, you need to do on root terminal, because it will be helpful for you without facing any problem, because sometimes you will face some problem to get the directory right without root permission. So it will be better if you use the terminal. So it's kind of a complicated, but let's all see this SSHD config. As you can see, there is all root and configuration keys. So let's use the nano. Okay. So you are going to be prompt with this configuration file. So you don't need to do anything, any serious tampering here. You don't really need any programming knowledge to do this. It's fairly simple. These hashtags, as you can see here, these hashtags they represent comments. They commented the outline basically. So what commented outline means is that the system will completely ignore that line. It will not take it into consideration by removing these hashes. So you will be able to try this system and interpret these commands and then act up accordingly. So what I need is to do, it says, as you can see, there is a many hashtag command, and there is someone says permit root login, and you go where it says permit root login. As you can see, this is permit root login. I already edited my hash so that it can work without any problem. So however, it is commented out as, and all the SSH in Linux machine, where whenever SSH is installed by default, permit the root login will be disabled either by having a different argument here or just being commented out like this. So you need to do is remove the command line. If you have here, just press Ctrl O and to save it, and Ctrl X to exit it. So it is necessary for us to log in as a root fairly, because we won't be able to do anything if we are not in root directory. So which Wireshark by using this primarily, but we are not doing anything like Wireshark. However, here on this remote machine, the same permission apply for TCP dump. As I explained, it works in a very similar fashion. So the next thing you need to do is, after you change the configuration, you need to restart the service by typing service SSD start or restart. Any of these will work. So what it will do is, it will restart the service and you will get the output and everything else that on this services that started, in case your service was not started prior to this, and in case it was not running, you can just type in restart in here instead of start if you face some problem. So you have start, stop and restart, which is not listed here, but you can type here any of these and it will work without any problem. So now that our SSA protocol configured on the remote machine, next thing we need to make sure that you have a running TCP dump as well. So let me try and check it out if my machine has TCP dump. Is not. As you can see, TCP dump is working well. There's no error. So this is all the necessary configuration you need to do on your remote machine. You don't actually need to do anything else from this point on. You can just close it, sit back and relax, and go back to into your machine that you want to save the output, and from there and from this on we will only be working on the destination machine, and we will need to create a pipe, and we don't need any more SSH configuration there. So that's all for this SSH and TCP dump related. So now I am going to show you how to make a pipeline for Wireshark, and how you can invoke an SSH command in order to begin your capture. Now here's what you need to do. First, you must make sure that the name file name pipe that I've talked about, and in order to make it, you cannot just type mk. You can just make it by typing mk like this. It can happen. So created with a touch command. It's not a ordinary text file, it is a pipe file. In order for you to make it, you will need to use a special command. But before you do, I am going to go ahead and go to my temp directory. So let's go to temp. As you can see, I am now in my temp directory. So now I am gonna list all my items on my, as you can see, I have all my items also. You can see that it marked with yellow. It says packet capture. That is my pipe file. So I'm gonna make it again so that you don't know the command in order to make. So it's pretty much same on all Linux or Unix based operating system. So you use mk, and then there are very things you can do with this mk command, like mk directory or mk FIFO or anything like that. So you can see many options in mk related. So I want to reassure that you don't need to memorize all of this command, just need to know the basics and have a general idea, and from there, and if you have problems, just tap on the help menu and it will pretty much get you all the information that you need. So the next argument, so what I need is, I need to clear this page, let me clear it, and let me, is mk FIFO. Now that is a command in order to make a pipe file, since I already am in my temp folder, as you can see here in my temp folder. I'm not gonna specify a folder in which it's gonna make, because it's gonna make it by default and that you are gonna use, but in case you are not, you just type slash, let me show you the process. I already did this. Okay, let me just clear this. Okay. Okay. So you just type it. As you can see, I already created it, that's why it's showing that already it has file exists. So just typing this command will make a file in here. So now I have already tested this, as I already told, and I realized that you do need to change the permission for this file in order to run. So in order to write into a remote system, now I want to allow a root login from other places to my original system. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll say this is gonna be, can be a very dangerous. So I will type chmod space 777 and packet capture. So I'm going to assign a global mode to this particular pipe, and depending on the situation and depending on the source machine from which the packets are coming, you should go online and check proper permission and suggestion for permissions. So depending on various situation, you can have a good amount of one of them, and then you will be able to adapt the situation, and you may be able to adapt the situation. However, since I am running this in my virtual machine that I installed, this is no, there is no reason that I shouldn't give it 777 like this. I mean the global mode is primarily because I own the both machine and I am the only person that's going to use the both of them. So I know exactly what source of file am I gonna stream from one to another. So it's for me, it is safe to issue a global mode on 777. However, for you it probably won't be if you are doing this over the internet, and just go ahead and check it out the net. So which file permit and which file modes or permission do you use depending on the various situation, because there are a good amount of them, they say, and but this is how you do it. You just type in chmod sign and sign the number, then you specify a file to which you are assigning this mode, and this mode you need to call it mode, you can call it a permission. So basically there are permission, read, write and executable permission. Anyway, now that's the file has been created. Now that we have a pipe and the permission, it hasn't changed, so let me go ahead and clear this screen. Now there is a bit of longer comment that I am gonna paste in here. I already typed, so let me Now anyway, now that is the file that has been created. Now this is the longer comment that I was talking about, and I have prepared here for you, and this is the comment that you will issue on a remote system somewhere. Now you can log into it first via the SSH and then issue it for in my case where I have the virtual machine set up. You can just go ahead and click on your virtual machine and issue it. It's very simple. So you have a TCP dump, and then you you have parameters that are passed to TCP dump. Then you have this is ITHO Ethernet or wired Ethernet, as I previously described details about this in my previous lectures. So I have done this at my two machines, so it's called ETHO on the virtual machine, which I'm going to perform a capture, and this will be called something else. So we will see when we actually get into it. -w interface, since TCP dump has very similar argument as T-Shark, is just the type in dash, and I interface, this one is to write to standard output. Then we have a pipe command, then that have shown in previous tutorials. What pipe is the we type in a space and then SSH command info and SSH protocol, this one. And then you need to say where you are connected in and where you want to connect and who do you want to be on your remote system. So this username here, so you just type in username here, and this is not who you are on current system, this is who you want to be on the remote system somewhere, and you have to sign and type a IP address board or host, IP address or host name. And the remote system, so 90% of the time is going to be an IP address, as it is unlikely that somebody going to have a domain name on their personal PC or anything of a kind. So next up is -c. So C means specifying the chiffres to use for SSH. So we have a ARC4 and .blowfish. So this means they will be transmitted to various argument there, and afterward you have -c who will send the argument and compress all the information, and you have -p for port, and you have a specified port here, like mine is 22 as you can see here. So SSH could be configured to run on so many ports out there. Basically you could type in something like 10,000 or anything. So this is on 4,000 basically. So if you configure SSH to run over it, of course there is no need to do that, but some people advise it for the security reasons, but so that people couldn't figure out which one and which port you are running on SSH. But I mean, it doesn't matter, a full port scan of the system reveal this anyway when you do the full scan. So just use the default one for 22 and open up quotation mark, and now we are going to be passing the command line to write what to write in the TCP dump and to outfill the file. So we have a cat cat is basically you are just gonna acting just basically taking something where there is the standard output or it's from a file, it's something like that. So we are just taking a certain text and taking the information within the file, then putting it at the standard output, and from there outputting it to a file that you have specified. So I specified mine as /tmp/packet capture. So yeah, I added when the terminal I added when the comment is just too long. I wish this could be short, but I can't. You have to comment like this. So now that we have done with this comment, you can just open up any virtual machine and you can paste that, and in those places you paste those IP addresses and usernames, then that will be have a cheaper listed and have the compression. So the cat command and TCP dump is will be set up and running by using this command perfectly. And if you enter this, it will prompt for a password, and you do need to type the password in. So if you don't have a password, this is not gonna work. So the capture will then start after the moment, and I will show you the next bit tutorial how Wireshark, like how I will open a Wireshark with there, and we'll see how you can actually extract information from the pipe and how you can display and how you can have it displayed in real time, and which is pretty much in any case. So that's all. So now I will show you how you can conduct and actually open a Wireshark and show you how you can conduct a live capture from a file. So we've been using interface to perform live captures to read file afterwards. However, this time we will actually be performing a live capture from a file itself. So the file is pipe is one of the type that we have previously created in the previous lecture. So it is still in this directory in temp, so it hasn't gone anywhere. So the first thing that we will need to do is we will need to start up the Wireshark, as I already started up. So I'm gonna go ahead, and as I'm using this on my virtual machine, now I will go to use this as from capture from option. Now then you will go to manage interface, and then you will go to pipes, and then you will go to plus button to add new pipe, then click, double click, then browse, then packet capture. As you can see, it's pipe packet capture, then OK. So I have mentioned briefly that this is the sorry for this sound. So we will now capture from this save file. So I will now open this, and we will start. Now we will just go back to this, as we previously described about how we can conduct the pipe from this file to generate traffic from Wireshark from these to Wireshark. So as previously I told every details about every function in here, like this connection, SSH, cat, and the temporary and directory. So we will now just press enter and it will capture and generate some traffic. So let's go and capture and generate more traffic, like let's generate more traffic using this pipe. So let's just ping Google and search for some specific ICMP. As you can see, it's generating more of ICMP. So as you can see, I have things all over in here to be trafficked from this to capture the traffic from that temporary folder. As you can see, this is quite significant. They are coming in from one another and it won't stop until I stop this. Like I now stop and let's ping to another one like yahoo.com. So it seems that Yahoo also generating the traffic from that file. As you can see, generating all of those files. So what will happen is between these and those packets that are passing without any problem, and as you can see up here, definitely all the packets are going through, and maybe there is as all of those you can even filter those using like any of this, like DNS, ICMP. You can have like any filter as I previously described about it, but most of them are like, let's look at some DNS from that file. As you can see, there are lots of file from DNS, and it is still capturing because my packet is still running on pingyahoo.com. That's why it is still capturing all the way, and it will go and go and go, and it will just eat up all my spaces. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and cancel this. So it's gonna take a while for them to list all in here. It will take a long time, but this is not really important to us. I'm just go ahead and stop the capture because this is getting a lot of, as you can see, it's already took like 20,000 packets, and the file size will become ridiculous, and it will be hard to open and play with this in Wireshark. So as you can see, I have way too many packets in here, and I have indeed captured traffic from a remote machine onto my own. Now I have done this between one virtual machine and one physical machine. However, we are in a LAN basically, and one within another, but it doesn't matter. The other could have been, as I said in the beginning of this, it could have been in Tokyo or any other country, and you would have a pretty much the same thing happening as you saw in this. Although you would have a pretty big delay there will be some delay because I am working on my both at my PC on my main and on my virtual. That's why it didn't took any delay. So but when you are working from various places to places, there will be pretty big delay, and that would be pretty slow to where Wireshark could be pretty slow to catch those packets. So it's not where it works full, it's basically bandwidth. If you have like fiber optics or something like that, that would be much faster, but not like this faster, but it would be much faster than using a medium bandwidth or low end bandwidth. But you get the general idea of how you can do this. The process can be replicated to go over internet. There are no changes that you need to make of whatsoever, except if a computer is behind the router, then the router needs to be configured to able to pass through this traffic, to allow this traffic to pass. Anyway, this concludes here, and this is the all about passing SSH from a file to Wireshark without using the graphical interface like we previously showed you on my previous lectures. So hello everyone, so now I'm gonna show you how you can set up a proxy server, hook up machines to that proxy server, and have that proxy server with forward and traffic those and forward traffic to those machines to add an administrator machine from where you will be able to control the traffic. So you will be able to say who can do that and who cannot do that. So let's put it that way. Before you will be able to use the Wireshark to actually monitor traffic. Anyway, keep in mind that this is a bit of disclaimer that I already explained the 90% of the things that you need to set this up. So the only thing that I won't explain in this particular setup is the thing that how to install the virtual box and some other thing, because I already talked about, and you can find many videos or online or Google how to install the virtual box and how to install some of the high providers such as where your operating system and your host operating system and the one that you are using is completely relevant, or you are using Linux, Mac or Windows. The procedure is independent to those OSs. Also, you can find the instruction and procedure how to install VirtualBox in anywhere in internet. So it is very easy to find and easy to work it out and install. So now I'll go and talk about more in details about the explanation of the setup. So as I said, that I am in this virtual machine, so you can run whatever operating system you want. It's completely irrelevant. The only thing that's different is the installation of VirtualBox. Everything is exactly to say same, and we have like one PC, this one, which will be our administrator PC, and we have one our server, and which will be our proxy server, and we shall have another PC, and which will be some client. So you can have like multiple PC in here, like this one, multiple PCs that could be running. The problem is that I don't really have enough resources on my current machine that have enough resource to handle those machine. So I don't have enough resources to actually run down all those virtual machine at once, and that would completely crash my system, and there is no way I can do that. Now what I could do is I could run a couple of the virtual machines that are important, and that I am going to show you all about that. So The virtual machine would be impossible. That would be impossible for me to use virtual machine like 9 or 10 virtual machine at once. I can go and maximum like 3 or maybe 4, and that's kind of crashed my system. But soon I'm gonna get a new machine and I'm gonna post some other lectures where I'll have my updated PCs and machine that can handle up to 7 or 8 virtual machines. So all you need to do is hook it up to a proxy server, which is this proxy server, and proxy server to go into the net. Now administrator machine will receive information from the server, and will be able to control the server and will be able to say that the traffic is valid and the traffic will not allowed because you don't earn them down. And according to like browsing Facebook during the working hour as it is, which is highly not productive, and you don't want anyone to go during working hour like shopping websites or something like that. So, and if you are even planning on working as a system administrator or network administrator, especially in system administrator, you will be required to make this setup work. You will be required to operate a proxy server to almost all offices, both small and large, all corporation. And but small or large, that doesn't matter. If you have an office of 10 people or if you have a company of 10,000 employees, they all have proxy services and you will need to know how to do this. And believe me, this is one of the most common tasks that exist out of the people that tend to use. Now our workstation will be on Fedora. The current release of Fedora and any of the releases that you want, just download and install it. So, and our host machine will be Ubuntu, and I can shut Ubuntu down and make another machine so that I can demonstrate how we can monitor traffic from Linux machine and how we can monitor traffic from a Windows machine. So not really will traffic of a monitor traffic as a proxy server. I will just show you how you can hook up by a Windows machine and how can hook up a little bit machine of a next proxy server. But one of those two will need to be shut down in my machine because I won't have enough resources in a sense of hardware. So in order to virtualize all 4 of them, I do understand that the Windows is a property piece of code, closed code source, and you have to pay for it. So I understand if you don't have an extra copy of Windows lying around, so no big deal, nothing special there. So you can take a look at it. Just don't need to actually emulate and buy a new Windows or anything like that. Just take a look at it and few clicks in Windows to hook it up a proxy server, and that's all there. It is on Linux. The procedure is somewhat different, but again, not to dare to say it's terribly difficult or anything like that. What we will need is a virtual box or some high provider that installed. So I already explained how you can do that. I will provide a I'll provide a showcase. How can you do download one of those and download all of those. So you'll need to so first you need to download this CentOS. So if you go and search on CentOS, and this page will open up. Now just go to this website and download. So it's better to download the minimal version. So where can you get those? So you can get those by searching minimal ISO and just go to this website. this and download this minimal ISO. This one is, if you want to install the torrent file, you can also torrent this, but it is better to install the ISO. So now you can have a minimal ISO on download, so just download it in your computer, and we'll talk about it later. And it's better to download the minimal OS because CentOS has a lot of mirror in it. As you can see, lots of mirror you can download, but it's better to download the minimal ISOs, so you don't have any confusion in that to which one to download, because this can be a little bit confusing which one to download, so that's why I showed it. So remember to download the minimal ISO. You won't be able to get full screen with minimal ISO because you won't have any sort of GUI or something like that. This is a graphical interface, but this is how servers are installed. They are installed using the graphical interface. They are installed without them, and then all the services are installed. So additionally, also again, no graphical interface will be installed at any point of time, so we won't be actually doing anything directly on this server. We will be controlling it through the SSH, and we will be controlling indirectly. So if you will from a Fedora workstation, like you can just go to Google and search a Fedora workstation and just download now, and it will download any of the version that you want. It will just download the ISO file. So this is pretty simple. Go ahead and just click on the workstation and download and use Fedora on a server, but that is fundamentally easy. So go ahead and download, and that gonna download it for you, and that's gonna take you a couple of minutes and even hour if you have a slower internet, because these files are pretty big. Fedora workstation is like 1.5 GB and CentOS is like 1 GB, and both are large files, so be patient and just wait for download to end. So next place what I need to do is basically open a Fedora to test a ground for Red Hat. So so pretty much that same as Red Hat. I also download the any version of Fedora as you want. The 64-bit will be better. And now download Ubuntu. Any version of the Ubuntu will work just fine. Just download this, open and Ubuntu desktop and download. It will also take some time to download because it's also a large file. So if you don't know which version you want to download, so you can download 32-bit and you'll be safe and good to go. So now we have all those things that we want to download, and all three things like CentOS, Fedora and Ubuntu. So go and download this. As I show you where you can download all of this. Just download this, and we will talk about later how to install them on a virtual machine, and make some preparation, and then we will immediately start the follow-up lectures, and I will show you how you can do this when you will come back later. So okay, let's go ahead and let's start setting it up. So hopefully you have a virtual box or some sort of box like this already installed. So I have my right here. So I'm just go ahead and start to install those we previously downloaded, like CentOS, Fedora and all. So I have some virtual machine that I used like Linux, Windows 10 and Ubuntu. Ubuntu already I installed. So they are all, as you can see, powered off, or maybe if you have something like saved or abort, so they are all turned off right now. So what you need to do now is create 3 virtual machines. One to be our office machine, which will represent an office that want to represent the office machine, another one to represent the server, and the third one represent the network station. So let's go ahead and type this key new. So let's start first one. So which one should I start first? Let me check. CentOS. Okay, let's start CentOS. Then click Linux, Red Hat, so click next. I will give 1 GB. So select create a virtual hard disk now. Create and select VDI VirtualBox disk image. Next, then select dynamically allocated. Next, file location and size. So let me give something like 4 GB as it was default. Create. Now let's go to setting and network. Okay, let's go to settings, system. As you can see, I already selected. I'll give one processor as I have 12 processors. So and then I'll give storage like empty. So click here and select the virtual disk. Disk that you downloaded from the places that I show. So it's like minimal OS. Select, then OK, then it's good to go, I guess. Let's just double click it. Install CentOS. Enter. Detected CPU. So I hope that it installed without any problem. Okay. It will take a couple of minutes, like 5 to 10 minutes to install each, I guess. So let's just wait. Okay, it's in here. So yes, United States, continue. Okay, where is my mouse? Why is not mouse showing here? Okay, there's some problem. I was having some problem installing with CentOS, but I solved it. I was having problem with recording and also installing at the same time. That's why I just completed. The process is just simple. You just click next, and there's nothing. You can just do a username and password and do. And as you can see, it is already up and running. That's why I was just. So as you can see, you can just login credential and password, and it's done. So let me just show you the other process, and also I completed the Ubuntu. As you can see, just as simple as you can just follow the procedure, and as I can show you the rest of the details in here. Let me show you that my Ubuntu is working, both Ubuntu and CentOS, and I will show you the rest of the one that remaining. I will show you now. Just let me show you about this, that it is working. It's easy process. You just do a simple installation as you previously done a lot of the times using this. It's not as hard as you think. Just do install and just do the connection setting. Just I am giving you the setting so that you don't have to just in storage. You select the file that you downloaded, ISO file, and that's it. And in network you select the network, and it's okay, it's done. And it's same as here. As you can see in storage, as you can see I already installed it, that's why it's showing none, but I previously shown you, that's why. And in selector net, then it's done. Network, as you can see network is done. And as you can see my Ubuntu is up and running. So let me just log out this, power off. And the rest one, which is okay, which one do I have now? I can Fedora. Okay, let me show you how to install Fedora Linux, Fedora 64. Let me go next. User memory size, I am giving 1 GB. Select create a virtual disk. Is the same for every one of them. So create. Now use this VDI VirtualBox disk image. Use this next. Then use tick not this one dynamically allocated. Use the default storage because as you can see my C drive is nearly full and I am using SSD. So I am giving the default addresses. So let's just create. Now in setting, in storage, let me give this the ISO file Fedora. Okay, then let me just open it. I hope everything goes okay. Okay, I had some issues previously using Fedora installing. It showed some error, so I hope this time it shows none. And okay, this will take some time, I guess. Okay, this seems so far all right. Okay, this will take a couple of minutes, I guess. Let's just wait. And that's the same process for all of this as I previously told. So all of this just use. Okay, I guess this is up. Okay, now this is good. Okay, let's Okay, I think this is activities. Okay, this is, as you can see, this is up and running, so I don't have any problem now. And activities, machine preferences or display system. Okay, all this okay. And here are the application, I think. Okay, this is kind of slow, so as you can see there are many applications in here, and you can use the terminal. Not Bangla, okay, use English, continue. Okay, installation, let's, no disk selected, done. Failed to save installation, no disk selected. Refresh, rescan disk. Okay, automatic, reclaim space. This is too slow. I think it will be alright now. Checking status. Okay, as you can see, it's done. Now it will take some time to install. I think my C drive is almost full at this rate, as you can see. So it will take some time, so let's just pause and I will get back to you when it is all done. Okay, as you can see, it's now all up and done, and it is all installed, and you can use all of this, like as you can see, if config. Okay, as you can see, it's all up and running. So that's how you install all three virtual machines as main machine, network, and the server. So I'll talk about the details how you can use this machine as a proxy server in details and the next. So as I previously demonstrated how to install, download the virtual machine and three of the main machine, remote machine, and the server to test this proxy server traffic and monitor this proxy server. So now we're gonna describe how this process works and how these three machine naturally works with each other. So let's just log in and wait. It will be rather slow because it is the original machine and it's running on a one CPU, and it will probably not even running on a CPU core, so it's running as a hybrid thread. So not hyper thread, it's just a separate thread on its own, so it's one single thread and it's all that can execute per unit. So as you can see, it's here. This is the code that write sudo apt just install this dkms. It will ask for some password on your machine, so it will, after the password, it will start to install this and these packages like this, and the much needed packages like this one. So after continue, we press yes, then it will go to the VirtualBox guest additional installer, and this is setting up and Windows setting up. Use and Windows you will use this up. So this is up and running virtual machine now, and now we need to just reboot the device machine, and after that you just install again. After this, run again and give the password user, and then we are done with this one machine. So we'll go to then next machine, which is CentOS. So in this we'll just link this IP address. So check. So what we got like this one, two interfaces. One of this is for loopback interface and second is for question, and its state is up, and they cannot really see the IP address in here. So what it is doing here is, as you can see, it doing the loopback up and lower up and loopback. So after doing this, you just type this command, and also this connector. Maybe in your machine you need to use in here like ETHO, Ethernet, connect your wired connection. Then here this, just type in here in this connection. As you can see, it giving me the inet or IP address in this machine on CentOS proxy. So this is the proxy server, and this is using the both, as you can see, 192.168 with /24. So let's see if we can actually connect to this SH to the server. Normally we would connect from an workstation, but since this is being installed at a virtual machine, so we will test this connection and see if it's actually open up or not, or working or not. So let's open up a terminal, and so this is the build dependency tree. So let's just use this command ssh to so that's the server. So maybe it have a client installed. So what they do have is that ssh client installed in here, and so let's go for this. So you need to type in yes to get this here, and I am connected to this IP that has a particular port and which we have not used before. So obviously is suspicious. It says, as you can see here, it says if you sure, just press yes, then it will connect to this and using your username and password. So I am in that computer logged in, so I can do some file creation or something of a kind, etc. You can just check up the IP addresses. They haven't removed, as you can see here, and I have the configuration in Ubuntu. So let's not use this command. So let's use just IP dot address in here. As you can see, IP space address. So in Ubuntu on interface ETH0, the IP address is 192.168.1.5. as you can see in here, 1.5. So if you don't need to look at the /24 at the end of the IP address. Now look at this one. As you can see, it has IP 1.5 at the end, but in here, as you can see, it is 1.4/24. These two has similar machine, but as you can see, these two are showing different IP addresses. So what we have seen a moment ago on the different machine on our server, that it says 192.168.1.4, as you can see in the left side. And we are on a moment in a command machine that we can elevate our privileges with SSHP. So we can do this there, and there you go. Now it's a root, as you can see in here, it's saying. So this is how we would connect by SSH, and we have SSH set up on our server to exit. You can just type any exit command and it will exit from this machine, and it will say that here this IP address connection like 192.168.1.4/24 is close when you type in the exit command. So it might ask you some question, it might find it suspicious when the IP address of the server changes, and probably will change because this is not a static IP address that we could assign it. It's a static IP address in here. So now we'll need to connect using SSH back to our server, and then we'll do basically being configuring this and configure the forwarding of this network traffic, and then we will configure to the proxy server. So then we will go into our client machine, which then we will be able to generate the traffic from the office machine, and then we will configure it and basically connect to our proxy, and then we will go through our proxy server. So in order to get to that, let's just type in this admin machine to just type SSH creator, your username and your IP address, and this will vary from machine to machine. So do check your IP address from ifconfig or IP/space@ddr. This will get you the IP address. So as you can see here, this permanently added the IP address of this admin machine. So then which I will configure to connect to our proxy. So after that, so we have to establish the PC that we are now using, and we also do need root permission on our current PC in here. So now after that we will use we will download the Wireshark application in this admin machine, because it is an built-in like Kali Linux, so we have to install it. So how do you install it? You install it by typing just yum install Wireshark, and this will install Wireshark in your admin machine. So and it will install some dependency also. Then the remaining from, as you can see, it also installs some dependency from Wireshark. Now we will go ahead and do the process we previously do in our previous lecture, but with Kali Linux command. Now we will do it in here. As you can see, this command we also did this in our previous lecture, like mkfifo space your directory to save this file. As you remember, this will save this file as a packet_capture by this name. So after that you will just type ll, this will list all the capture that you did. So as you can see, we have couple of captures, it showed in a yellow color. So these are the packages that did capture in here. So make sure you select something simple, some sort of simple name that's readable or accessible, and then do the comment, do this comment, and this will get save this file to this directory. Now we'll install the TCP dump, as also this was not installed in default. So as you can see in here, we install the TCP dump, and this will take some time. So do move around from your proxy machine or admin machine to do the other work. As you can hear, we have tried another command to send the packet capture to this here. So what permission do we have? So in here, as you can see, in admin, in first third line, as you can see, we have only write permission, and world we don't have write permission, we have read permission in here. We have only read and write in here, but we don't have any write permission in here. So after typing this 666, it will give you the write permission. As you can see here, it gives the write permission for both world, user and machine. So the owner is readable and the writer is readable also, writable also. So now we have created the line, as you can see, pipe, as this is the packet capture name and this is the pipe file that will work. So then just you open up and run the Wireshark and it will open up. Just type comment and write Wireshark and it will open up this Wireshark application. And you can see here the name pipe that we have created, and we will utilize it in order to monitor traffic, because the traffic from different machine, from the different server, will be forwarded to this machine, which is our admin machine, and then the traffic will be placed here and into this pipe and into this pipe file. There you can see packet / capture, this is the pipe file. And then from here it will be taken by Wireshark and displayed that traffic result. And as you remember, in the terminal we previously saw, also you have to just download this TCP dump. As you can see in the here, installing TCP, you must have to install TCP dump. So as this is the minimal install, as previously we saw when we download this, so it always keeps the default installation. So all those files that you need, you all have to download it through the command and have to install it through this. So you need first IP address and the okay, never mind, it's just too much to work around. So I have to fix some things and I will show you in the next time, or how usually this works. And but people still keeps using IPA DDR, IP space DDR, because it really, when you want to check your IP address, it gives you a lot more room for to know. And remember this terminal, we are logged into the server, and now we are into the server. So we will talk details about the last part in future. So now what we will do is, as I previously told, you just need to open the Wireshark now. After opening the Wireshark, that the file that you saved like this, as you can see here, packet slash underscore capture. So you have to open up through the Wireshark, as I previously demonstrated how you can open up a specific pipe file through Wireshark in couple of lectures ago. So just you do the same process, because it uses the Wireshark graphical user interface, so you know how the process. So just open this packet capture, and then so you can see a lot of traffic in here. So let's just take a look and capture that we captured in the traffic. So SSH traffic is being captured and encrypted is in this here, and I have a lots of here. I wouldn't say a lot of traffic, but there are a lot of files, but like 150 something packets, which might seems like a lot, but files that can contain a lot of information, and they can contain to the point where you cannot open Wireshark in a proper fashion. So this will take a lot of time to actually load it. So what now we need to actually is verify that the packets or the traffic that coming from the Wireshark are from our machines, our destination IP addresses. So what we are looking at in the number of the pipe is, as you can see here, the IP addresses are 192.168.1.4, as you can see in here. Also the same IP addresses that our admin machine is running. So it's coming from this machine to generate this traffic. So there is a lot of traffic, and it's continuously it will come and second by second, and it will load a lot of traffic. At the certain point your Wireshark cannot even load them all properly. So that's why I just took a screenshot to show you how this actually is working. It does have couple of errors in these packets, but there's nothing too significant. You can see it's all working out, and some packet will be breaking, because even if you scan from your local network through Wireshark, some of the packets will be broken through this. So but all of these are fine. It's the normal process that the Wireshark do to analyze the traffic. There is no problem here, except our file size is growing exponentially. So it's where basically, like as far as I remember, it was something like 180,000 packets, which is a significant amount, and this will continue onwards, and where I explain more about this in the next. So what I have to do now, so we'll set up a proxy server, configuring it to have our Windows machine connected a proxy server, and then we're going to pass some rules so that we want the machine, and we're going to deny it to access pages like facebook.com or youtube.com, so that you cannot go to these pages. Like an example, you are on a office and you are trying to visit Facebook or YouTube on your working hours. So this would be the best example for this, so that you can block from your from your machine to access those website on working hours. So first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to log into the proxy server, and what you do need to do is you need to install Squid. So as you can see, we install Squid by yum space install space Squid. So this will install Squid. So as I already have it installed, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna type so as you can see in here, we are trying the Squid configuration from this. As you can see, we can see all those local net source and ports that we have, like an example like port 80, we have HTTP at 21 FTP and all of this. So here you have this is parameter. So let's go this, and as you can see in this first line nano. So I'm gonna stick with this nano, even though I prefer var, which is far superior and more powerful. So you have to install these two. As you can see here, Squid catching proxy and system Squid, star Squid and status Squid. These two rules you have to apply. So I have created two access lists, and I have rolled out to this access list. So you can name it however you want, like so I created an access list in the main admin machine, and source IP address is 192.168.1.5, which is the address of the Ubuntu machine, and I have that HTTP access to deny the Facebook website. So as you can see here in this HTTP access deny connect, which have rules like, as you can see, we have no go means this website domain facebook.com. I just named this as no go. So this is the domain we want to block. So as you can see, it is .facebook.com and .youtube.com, and this is means the source, and this is the source, and this is the IP address from this admin machine. And this will, what will this do? This will just block this website from opening. So let's just look at, as you can see in this facebook.com website, it says that the proxy server is refusing the connection. So it's running, and it's running, and this is excellent. It's a very basic example of this access list. So the idea of this lecture is to show you how you can monitor traffic as opposed to how you can control it. But if you're interested in learning more about access list or Squid or Squid proxy in general, you can just type in Google, and there are lots of other topics that you, if you are interested, then you want to follow up. So So as you can see, it says the proxy server is refusing connection, so I'm no longer allowed to visit facebook.com. But hey, maybe I don't want my employees to access YouTube also. So as you can see here, I added those other extra line like youtube.com. So as you can see here, it also blocks the proxy server from refusing the connection on this YouTube website. So if you could, so previously you could have access YouTube without any problem, but now you cannot because of this proxy restriction. So here's a more interesting thing. Here you can now actually monitor traffic. So remember, this is just an example of one machine being hooked up to the proxy. You could have thousands of machines that are hooked up in the proxy, but here's the interesting part that comes in our way. Whether you apply any rules or not, it doesn't really matter. You can just go and do this. So as you can see, this is the access log of this admin machine. As you can see, it's showing all those websites that I tried to visit, and it all connected all of this. But as you can see in the last two here, as we previously shown the screenshot, as you can see, this youtube.com and this google.com or facebook.com, this cancel the access. So you can see all of the information, who is accessing what. So you have an IP address, and you can have a various IP address on the network, and you will know exactly who wanted to access what for and who is doing what in this tiniest letter. So you will know everything by just checking this access log by using this simple command line. The good thing about this file is that this is a permanent file. So if I just clear this, and if I just retype this command log, it will also show all those accesses that I did. So it will be still in there. So the log file is, as you know, this is something you can come back in, like in the morning, and check it out and scroll through it to see if anybody has been attending to any unauthorized website, such as hacking website or any vulnerable website. So if anybody tried to access Facebook, then you can just filter it out, so that all the people who are trying to Facebook or like YouTube, you can just check it out. As in here, as you can see, this command line also, like this is similar, just you have to add this certain line and or add this YouTube line that will show you who and when you try to access this Facebook or YouTube website. So as you can see here, there is some people who try to access YouTube even though I am denying it. So if you see a single IP address that is continuously attempting to access something that has been denied, so you will see all of those listed in here, and you cannot delete it. It will always remain in here. Of course, you as an administrator will give them the uplift, but well, unpleasant or nothing will be like this, and always be, and it will always saved in the server, and you can actually allow to this access to the server. So you can just check it out, anything you can want with this access log. Anyway, that would be it. I hope you get some basic understanding of how this proxy server traffic monitoring works. and how it does and how you can access and check logs and how can even you access Wireshark from this here. So I hope you get a little bit of understanding of it, and that's all of from me today. So let me give you the summary of this today's topic. So if you have a spare machine that you could set it up in a internal proxy server instead of the machine accessing to the internet via the router. So they access it via the proxy server which accesses the internet using the router for them. So this will log all the internet traffics which then machine it came from. Then you can even block certain website or filter types and lot of other cool things. So the proxy server will also cache frequently which use web pages, so the user visits the same website, the images download etc. that will already be on the proxy server, so they won't need to re-download again, and this might save you some bandwidth too. So this could take some time to setting up, but if you have the time and patience, then it's definitely worth going for. So setting up a proxy server is probably beyond the scope of this question. So here I give you some pointers to get started, as I already told and show you the demonstration. Let me just give you a brief description of how proxy server is helpful or why should you do it. So install the Ubuntu operating system on a spare machine. So first you have to do that. Then install the Squid proxy server on the machine by opening a terminal or console window or typing the command like sudo apt-get space install space squid. So as I previously showed all of this, but still I'm giving a brief summary from A to Z. So configure the squid that the way you like, and I also show you the setup guide of Ubuntu. You can also check the squid website for more documentation and setup help. So then after configuring your client machine to use the Ubuntu server as their proxy server to access the internet, and finally you might want to block internet access on the router to all machine except the proxy server to stop cunning user from accessing the internet from the router by bypassing the proxy server. So you can say like, so what's the point of a proxy server, what's the benefit? So let me tell you about the benefits of proxy server. So there are several reasons organization and individual uses a proxy server: to control internet uses of employees and children. The organization and parents set up the proxy server to control and monitor how their employees or kids use the internet. Most organizations don't want you looking at a specific website on a company time, and they can configure the proxy server to deny the access of these specific sites instead of redirecting you with a nice note asking you to refrain from looking at those sites at their company work time. They can also monitor and log all web requests, so even though they might not block the site, they know how much time you spend on this cyber loafing. Organization can also get better overall network performance with a good proxy server. Proxy server can cache, which means save a copy of the website locally and on popular websites, so that when you ask for a like www.baronis.com, and the proxy server will check to see if it has the most recent copy of the site and then send you the saved copy. What this means is that when hundreds of people use this website at the same time from the same proxy server, the proxy server only sends one request to that website, and this saves bandwidth to the company and improves the network performances. Individuals and organizations alike use proxy servers to browse the internet more privately. Some proxy server will change the IP address and other identifying information from the web request that contains. This means the destination server doesn't know who actually made the original request, which helps to keep your personal information and browsing habit more private. Proxy servers provide security benefits on top of the privacy benefits. You can configure your proxy server to encrypt your web request to keep prying eyes from reading your transactions. You can also prevent from malware sites from any access through the proxy server. Additionally, organizations can couple their proxy servers with a virtual private network like a VPN. So, remote user always access the internet through the company proxy. A VPN is a direct connection to the company network that companies provide to external or remote users. By using a VPN, the company can control and verify their user and that they have access to the resources like email, internal data, etc., what they need, while also providing a secure connection for the user to protect the company data. Proxy servers allow user to circumvent content restriction imposed by companies or governments. Is the local sports ball team game blacked out online? Log into a proxy server on the other side of the country and watch them from here. The proxy server makes it look like you are from or California or Tokyo, but you actually live in North Carolina. Several governments around the world closely monitor and restrict access to the internet, and proxy servers that offer their citizens access to an uncensored internet. So that's I would say the benefits of a proxy server, and it has a lot of benefit as I already mentioned. So better to use and practice how to use this proxy server on your own benefit.